Cut. This is not what I asked for. What the hell is casting doing to me? I clearly asked for white supremacists for the anti-Semite scene. We can't use any of this, people.
So yeah, all these attacks on Jews is happening because of the Israeli-Hamas conflict. Started by Hamas.
130 of them were fired from Gaza in injured Israelis, which, for Israel, will move this conflict onto a different level.
In Gaza, Israel took out the Associated Press building. Turns out Hamas was doing a lot of stuff in that building. In fact, there was an office for Islamic Jihad. Islamic Jihad has an office?
What would you say you do here?
Thank you for calling Islamic Jihad. We're currently away from our desk as we're firing rockets on civilians. But your call is very important to us. So at the sound of the bomb, please leave your name, number, and a brief message. Have a pleasant day.
What goes on at the HR department of the Islamic Jihad office? Yes, I'd like to lodge a complaint. He's not using my pronouns. Trump has been saying that if we hadn't been projecting weakness, none of this would be happening. I kind of believe that, especially when I look at Biden, even when he plays golf. It's a beautiful day here at Batshit Crazy Pines, here for the Dementia Classic. Joe's gonna go with the pitching wedge here, although in his mind he's warding off an animal. Ooh, too bad. Joe looks like a waiter you know is gonna f up your order. When he's reading from the teleprompter, he looks like a guy playing charades. In terms of projecting strength, we know that a pipeline was hacked. When Joe was asked whether we paid them off, his answer was no comment.
I have no comment on that.
And then he nearly walked into a flag. The standard answer should be, we do not negotiate with terrorists. With Joe, though, it's more like, no, we do not negotiate with terrorists. We just pay them right off and then hope for the best. But Joe always wants his mulligan. Remember his you know the thing speech?
All these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
He gave it another shot.
It says we hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men and women are created equal, endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yay! Look at him, he did it. But then he went into faux yelling outrage mode.
Every time we're silent, every time we let hate flourish, we make a lie of who we are as a nation.
There was something kind of false and off about this. It kind of rang a bell. I couldn't quite place it.
Now, having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask?
Oh, there we go. Speaking of fake feckless leadership, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are in the news. Prince Harry says that protecting free speech in America is bonkers. Of course, we know how easily he gave up his rights for free speech. He doesn't even believe in keeping custody of his own balls. He's a bitter guy, and who can blame him? If I went through life looking like Seth Rogen, I'd be upset too. Look at the claim here by Meghan Markle.
There was no guidance you see in the movies. There's no class on how to speak, how to cross your legs, how to be royal. There's none of that training. That might exist for other members of the family. That was not something that was offered to me.
So nobody tells you anything?
No.
Nobody prepared?
No one was there to train her. You know, Meghan, if you really needed advice on royal customs, maybe you should have asked your husband. You know, the guy you're shushing right now.
Sorry, but even down to like the national anthem.
You might just want to swivel your head to the right and ask some questions. So China's been very busy. They just landed on Mars. And it is official now, Mars is part of China. The Martians have been placed in re-education camps. And LeBron James is going to have a new sneaker from the Martian factory.
Cena, 我必须说现在在速度与激情中。
This is John Cena. He's apologizing to China for saying that Taiwan was a country. Well, I'm impressed. I didn't know that John Cena spoke LeBron.
When you're misinformed or you're not educated about something.
This brings us to the ultimate shill, Dr. Fauci. I swear, this guy is like a Cher farewell tour. It just never ends. Every time Fauci has to deal with some hard questions, he then complains that he's being politicized. Which is funny to me, because I noticed that Fauci doesn't seem to have a problem being politicized when it's the media and the Democrats who are blowing kisses at him in between questions. This guy is like James Comey in a lab coat. When you look at all the contradictions, the goalposts moving, I'm reminded very much of the movie The Big Short. Hang in there, I'll explain. In the movie and in real life, investment banks, credit rating agencies, and the government conceal the risk to prop up the prices of housing bonds / mortgage-backed securities. In the movie, Christian Bale, Steve Carell, and Ryan Gosling play financial experts who see the housing bubble and bet against it. And we see in the movie that when the bubble starts to burst, the banks, the rating agencies, and I'd add the government, tamp down the truth. They refused to make price adjustments on the bets until they protected themselves.
I think you mean that you've secured a net short position yourselves, so you're free to mark my swaps accurately for once, because it's now in your interest to do so.
I'm not sure what you want me to say.
I think you've already said it.
What does that have to do with COVID-19? Well, authorities will not acknowledge basic truth until it's in their interest to do so. When you literally have a virus factory in the neighborhood of the outbreak, common sense would tell you that the virus came from that factory. Who is appealing to common sense, Occam's razor, deductive reasoning? That would be Trump. He said there was evidence the virus originated in the Wuhan lab.
Gives you a high degree of confidence that this originated from the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
I can't tell you that. I'm not allowed to tell you.
Perhaps evidence such as...
The US intelligence report says 3 researchers at a Wuhan lab fell ill and even went to the hospital right before the coronavirus pandemic began.
If you actually believe that this news was just discovered, then you're a Biden voter. Almost immediately after Trump highlighted the lab, Fauci had an interview with Nat Geo, owned by Disney, where he said the following. There's 2 issues. Oh, I'm sorry, I should do my Fauci voice. There's 2 issues. If you look at the evolution of the virus in bats and what's there now, it's very, very strongly leaning toward this virus could not have been artificially or deliberately manipulated. If it isn't manipulated in the lab, and you're trying to say it escaped from the lab, then how did it get in the lab? It got in the lab because somebody isolated it from the environment. That's why I don't spend a lot of time in that circular argument. Oh, and another thing. I'm completely full of shit. So why would Fauci go out of his way to contradict a standing president? To suggest whether it came from a lab or not was irrelevant, that it was a circular argument, unworthy of his time, when everyone would want to know the answer to that question definitively. Well, we know the media, Democrat protectorate, would want to contradict Trump at every turn. But Fauci jumping with both feet to be a political hammer isn't a lab accident either. It was a coordinated, premeditated attack on Trump. Fauci's now saying that we should investigate, and he's giving credence to the lab escape theory. So basically he and the media and Biden are pulling a big short.
It's because it's now in your interest to do so.
They're calling for an investigation. It's finally in their interest to do so. Why? Because it's a year later. China won't cooperate. The whistleblowers are no doubt vaporized. The politicians all have their answers ready, and the public is suffering from COVID fatigue. We know that Biden will go through the motions, but he'll never give us the truth. He's already deferring to the WHO for answers, and we know that that's a joke. And also, Trump is out of office. Mission accomplished. Objective achieved. And finally, they know that the fiery demand for answers will fade as the media directs you elsewhere. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please be sure to go to my new channel, Jokes in a Point. Like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, comment, and I should be back soon. Take care.